Good morning and welcome to the LAArtist Podcast. And we are here today with our studio as our co-host
Heyo.
and the amazing, majestic, and very colorful Ashley Wright.
Hey.
Let me do a round of applause.
Yes, round of applause. And I am your host, Mr. David Verano. You are listening to the LAArtist Podcast, where we chat with local artists about their works, styles, what influenced them to start their artist journey, and more. Subscribe so you don't miss the latest episode. And to see bonus content, check out our website on the description below. This podcast is produced by Lorano Gallery, an LA-based gallery and studio space dedicated to showcase work from upcoming artists, as well as provide space for art shows, workshops, photo and film production. Feel free to check out the gallery at loranogallery.com. But yeah, welcome to the LAArtist Podcast. It's nice to have you here. Hopefully the traffic wasn't too bad coming from Redlands, which is you're the second person coming from that area. We had Miranda
Oh,
here,
heck yeah.
a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Or a
Love
couple
Miranda.
of episodes in the future.
Or a couple yeah, I don't know. We might
Whenever you listen to this.
yeah, we might flip
What
them
is
back
the
and
past
forth.
and present at this point?
Depending on how people are listening.
Yeah.
What we make of it.
But welcome,
Thank
and
you.
and again, you are looking majestic with all the different colors that match your painting and your painting style very, very well.
Thank you. I got to bring a little bit of my own personality into my aesthetic. If you're going to wake up every day and have this avatar body, why wear something boring or something that everyone else has to wear every day?
Hey.
I'm calling you out.
Like me with my gray tones as well.
Nah, I just like to have fun with it. You can put on some fun colors.
There you
I do
go.
it for the kids, and I do
Yes.
it for myself.
Yes. Yeah, and we see it a lot on your art. That's one of the things that did. I feel like that attracted us to your art style. Very vibrant, very colorful,
Mhm.
and very thick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
She
like
is
With
thick.
two C's.
yeah.
2 C's, 3 C's, 4 C's. It is really, really thick. And I love it.
Yeah, and what got you into that style? Like, is what made you just go splat onto the painting?
You know, it's kind of funny because I watched a lot of Bob Ross in college. It was kind of like a way for me to fall asleep in college. I had a lot of problems with like anxiety and depression. So I put on Bob Ross. His soothing voice would get me to go to sleep. Or my friends would watch it. We'd be anxious. And I loved his technique of using thicker than normal paint onto his paintings, especially when he did his mountains or anything like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I can do that, you know? And when I started developing my own paint style, I just started playing around with it. And this was before I even had a gel medium. I would just layer acrylic paint just straight out of the tube, just layer it on. And it created sort of a texture. And I was like, how do I enhance this? And I had to dig a little bit deeper into myself and the internet to figure out what can I add to paint to make it thick, to play with it. Because I saw other artists on like Instagram and different platforms playing around with it. And it's usually a technique called impasto, where you're layering paint with knives. And I saw somebody use a gel medium, and I was like, okay, cool. So I get a big tub of this frosted stuff. It looks like frosting you'd put on a cake. I literally, every time, it takes like 5 of my brain cells to keep doing it. And you mix it together with the paint, and you slap it on there, and it creates a whole different world. You can really play around with it, and there's just something about making something that's 2D work to 3-dimensional.
Yes.
You know?
And with that gel medium, was there like specific techniques that you use? Like, do you have to use like palette knives, or do you still use brushes?
Yeah, so I actually do use palette knives. Palette knives are the number one thing I use. I actually use just 2 of them. There's one that has a really long flat end, and it kind of has an oval shape at the end, and I have one that looks like a scraper. It literally looks like you can scrape some toenail junk out or something.
Nice.
And I basically use that in different layers. So I'll start with like a base layer, and I'll use my little ovally shaped palette knife and layer it down. It's very intuitive. I dissociate a lot. And when I dissociate, especially out in nature, out in environments, I really start honing in on textures. Like I'll just completely zone out, and all of a sudden I can see every depth of texture in a mountain or rock. And I try to emulate that through my own texture. And to do that, I think having a more intuitive approach works for me rather than having, okay, I got to do this, 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 and this, because each time it's going to come out just a little bit different. There is no perfection in building a landscape or a mountain or a natural environment. There's so many imperfections. So I think it just lends its hand to that in that way.
Yeah, and I even feel like that statement that so many imperfections in nature is like nature is perfectly imperfect
Mm-hmm.
because like a branch won't branch out the same way on every single limb of its of the tree, and every tree won't do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still perfect.
Yeah, it still seems perfect. And I think we as artists sometimes get caught up in the, oh, this perspective has to look like this depth line has to look like this. These trees need to be this proportionate to this. And it's like sometimes, just let go.
Mm-hmm.
See what inner world comes out in you. And that's kind of like the basis for my art, is showing my inner world, my dissociation, my happy place, the place that kept me safe, showing that to other people. You don't need to be perfect in art. I took one class and I was like, no, I don't want to listen to you. And and here I am now,
Yeah.
So it's constantly finding what is you and what's your art, and people will appreciate that more than you trying to adhere to a certain standard in art.
Yeah. Speaking of schooling, see,
Boo.
I'm good at segues,
Yes.
as you can tell.
Yes.
Nice
and subtle.
Definitely nice and kind of like the thick paint, nice and subtle.
Like,
yeah. You can't feel the textures. On your website, you had mentioned that you had a BA in music,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously you just mentioned that you had a single art class that you didn't really enjoy. Did does music play a lot in your art?
You would think it's kind of an interesting way, because I was brought up as a classical musician, so Bach, Beethoven, Mozart. But when it comes to my art, I do listen to quite a bit of music while I'm painting and while I'm dissociating and checking out. And a lot of that music has seriously influenced visually what I see in my art. I listen to a lot of city pop, retro wave, vaporwave, stuff that really kind of takes me out of my own personal reality. And that allows me to connect deeper with the worlds that I create, because it meshes in with the colors. It feels so alive. It's nostalgic. It's something we crave deep down.
And even for that, for those types of music, most of them they're just instrumentals.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go specifically for instrumental music? I know classical music, most of it is instrumental until you go to like operas and plays and whatnot.
Yeah, I tend to lean away from anything that has lyricism while I'm working. I've even had, I've had a business mentor tell me, hey, maybe you should listen to a podcast about, mindset and stuff while you're working on paintings. And I was like, no, that's really my time to like focus on my creativity, and whatever I need to facilitate for that to happen is what it's going to be. And for me, that means, music that's very repetitive in motion and harmonies and melodies that kind of take me out of reality. I need to enter that flow state for everything to work.
Yeah. So you're not going to listen to our podcast while you're painting? Okay, I got it.
Sorry about it.
No, but I do like that, yeah, because I feel like with lyrics, they're specific. Words have specific meanings versus music. You can interpret it a little bit differently, whether it be the way something sounds or even just if you have a subwoofer, like how the vibration of the music feels.
Yeah, it can really influence your mind. And I'm really careful about the music I listen to, especially if you're somebody that deals with anxiety or depression. Depending on what music you listen to, it can influence your mindset. If you're somebody that likes to listen to a lot of sad music every single day in and day out, that's not going to really help with your mindset.
Yeah, you're going to obviously be sad.
You're going to continue to revel in that sadness. So, something like my city pop vaporwave music, oh my gosh, it's just so happy. It takes me back to my childhood, makes me feel very alive and very playful, which I think is really a key to art. You need to stay playful in it.
Yeah, and with that, obviously we talked about how music influences the way you feel as you're painting. Were there any other influences? You mentioned Bob Ross was a big influence on the figure paintings to fall asleep to. If Bob Ross had synthwave music in the background, you would have been paying more attention.
Oh my god! No! I would sit there and watch and be like, we'd all sit there, we'd spark a joint, we'd sit there and go, oh, did you see that? That's a tree, like out of nowhere. But I mean, his art had some influence in my own personal style, but my favorite artist period is Hiroshi Nagai. I love his works. And he was really popular during the Japanese city pop phase in like the 80s. And his work, you can see some elements of it in my own work, especially with the city designs, the very flat looking landscapes, very graphical art. But I decided let's do some other techniques in here, some other things that kind of throw people off. I don't want to have that one specific style where you can say, oh, all the brush strokes are the same, all the lines are the same, it all looks uniform. No, I kind of want to throw a curveball out there.
I can dig that. Yeah, and then we'll link some references to the artist. That way, you guys can check it out as well and be inspired by them as well. And were there any other artists that you can think of?
Those were the biggest two because if anything, a lot of my inspiration comes from myself. I do love getting inspired by other people's work, but I feel like I'm going to find more of myself if I look deeper inside of me, rather than constantly looking and comparing myself to other artwork.
I like that. I like that philosophy. Because again, yeah, you can be influenced by others.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like what we mentioned with lyrics in songs, visually, if somebody does something, you're like, I can do that. And then subconsciously, you're like secretly doing it without knowing.
Right.
And so how does that workflow work? What do you usually do to get into the piece, like to get inspired by yourself? Or
Usually, a lot of my inspiration comes from my lived life, my lived experience. How am I processing pain, happiness, sadness, anything that comes in between? What am I doing with my friends? Am I seeking love and friendship out there? Am I having good memories? Am I having good moments? Do I remember the sunset the way it looked the other day? So it comes from those personal, just day to day, trying to be present with myself. And the more present I am with myself and I am happy with myself, the more inclined I am to release all of that pain through my artwork. Because it's never a set like, oh, it's my time to paint right now. I have my set schedule in the day, blah, blah, blah. It really comes to me through my experiences and how I'm feeling. And I think that's what lends it to being mental health art.
I like that. Yeah. So obviously, you just mentioned you don't have a set schedule, but do you paint on a regular basis or do you just paint when you're inspired or?
It's something I'm trying to work on because as an artist, we do need to practice our skills and whatnot. So it's something I'm actively trying to work on is to be more consistent in my painting, especially as I grow my career as an artist, as galleries want, a certain amount of paintings in stock for you. But it's also dealing with my mental health on the side and the same thing because complex PTSD is not easy to deal with. It's very difficult to deal with. And I have to balance that very precariously and carefully so as to I don't get sick. I don't fall and crumble again because I've been hospitalized many, many times for just pushing myself a little too far. And so it's still learning that balance. Okay, feeling inspired, but not really feeling it right now, but not being able to push myself a little farther and learning those responses back and forth. And that's hard. That takes years to learn that 100%. And so I can't just be super harsh on myself about it either. It's just kind of go with the flow. Let's take one day at a time.
Yeah, I feel like as artists, we should always have that balance. That yes, we have a deadline, we have a show coming up, the gallery wants X amount, but at the same time, like, chill.
Yeah.
Live.
Right.
Be yourself. Get some food. Get some sunlight.
Yeah. Go hang out with your friends.
Go hang out with your friends. Yes. Live life.
Yeah.
So you can get inspired to create more.
Because it can be very isolating being an artist. And isolation is something I've always struggled with in jobs. I was previously a nanny before I started going into full-time painting. And there's a certain isolation that comes with a job like that. You're in somebody's house all day alone with a child who can't speak on the same level as you.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned into full-time art, and here I am at home alone, and there's nobody to talk to.
With your painting that can't speak in the same level as you.
Yeah, and your painting can't speak back to you. And while I love alone time, and I love that time to create, I am definitely somebody who does better with other people around. I love the sense of community. I love a sense of environment. I love having people around the house. Makes me feel more active as well. Otherwise, I just feel like a depressed, sad artist in my room, and I'm like, yeah, I can paint, or I can call my friends and go somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't deal with isolation as an artist. Super hard.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of artists.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to put this podcast together, to be able to bring that to light. Like tell other artists like it's okay to feel lonely, but you have to make sure that you're able to just get out of that, call your friends, go outside, do
take
something
a little break.
more, take a little break. It's okay to take breaks.
You don't have to paint for 6 hours straight. You can paint something, let it dry, check your phone, and go for a walk. Like I assure you, it will be okay.
It's like an artist wanted to be an artist because they didn't want a 9-to-5 job.
Right. We want the ability to go to Ralph's at 10 in the morning. Gosh.
Or at midnight, because they do stay open till like 1 in the morning for the most part. So I was like,
But it's so necessary to step away from your paintings as well, because sometimes you get too stuck on your painting and then it just starts feeling flat or uninspired. So you're like, you know what? I need to take a break from this. Could be a couple of days. It could be a couple of hours. Just go do something different.
Chill.
And then come back. Come back later.
Art is your career, it's something you love to do, but even people who have careers, they don't do their careers 24 hours a day. You're allowed to have other hobbies.
Take a vacation. Take a 3-hour vacation from your painting. And then come back.
And even just saying that, it's like, I am not going to paint this weekend because I'm going to take it for myself. It's going to be my vacation this weekend. And kind of like forcing yourself to be like, okay, I've been in a rut for 2 weeks.
Right.
I need a break. I need an actual vacation. Even though everyone else thinks like, oh, artists are always on vacation. Like, no. We struggle with work ethics. We struggle with time. We struggle with, with just dealing with having to do it. So it's like, it's okay to take a vacation.
I guess that's why people, like a lot of non-artist people that have their 9-to-5 job, they see an artist not working. They're like, oh, what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm an artist. Like, why don't you get a real job? It's like, it's a real job.
Yeah, it is.
It's
a
like,
real
then
job.
why aren't you working right now? It's like, I'm taking a break. They get jealous because they can't take a break.
Yeah, it's a lot different. And as somebody who's held a lot of 9-to-5 jobs, I was even a teacher at one point, I had no wiggle room in my 9-to-5, my set period of time that I needed to be at work to go, oh, I can go run an errand. No, I can't. I can't finish this painting or send an email to a gallery or this or that. There is no balance. So it can be frustrating. And I see the same frustration towards people who work from home in general, because, you see all these videos of work from home people and they're like chilling in their jammies and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I think everyone deserves some sort of flexibility in that regard. And I don't think we should punish somebody or put them down as like, oh, you don't have a real job. It is a real job. I just got my paycheck the other day for working one day and it made my entire month's rent. So it's just the way it is.
A lot of people that are now working from home because of COVID and all that, and now they're still working from home because it's better. They get more work done when it's less stressful.
And they have more time to spend with their families or help with childcare. It's so useful. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
And even employers are like, oh, you could either come back to the office, or if you want to continue working from home, it's cool with us because, you're getting work done.
And even on top of that, on the business side, it's like, we don't have to pay that much electricity on our building because there's not people there.
Right.
So it's like save money here and there, and then obviously the workers at home can actually enjoy working a little bit better in the comfort of their own home.
Yeah.
So as artists, we've been working from home even before it
was a thing.
Yeah,
popular.
right.
Before it was popular.
Before it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool. We've been doing it before it was cool.
Yeah. And then speaking of cool things, I do want to segue into a quick little rapid. I keep changing the name. Quick-A. A quick little Quick-A.
The not so famous Quick-A.
The not so famous Quick-A. It might become the Rapid-A soon enough. Because I put rapid on my notes and I keep skipping the Q. But are you ready for the Quick-A?
Oh gosh.
These are
just remember this will be graded.
These will be graded by.
Don't send it to my parents, please.
It'll be graded by the audience. The audience members, feel free to let us know how she did.
Yeah, write down on the comments below.
Yeah, feel free to bully me.
Yeah, interact with us.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, no.
No. Only bully with positive comments.
Yes.
With positive love and affirmation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So are you ready for this?
Yes, let's do it.
Are you nervous?
You know, now that it's been hyped up as a graded thing, I am so nervous. I am sweating.
Good.
It's graded out of 76 Goldblums.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Mr. Goldblum, if you're listening, hi. How are you doing?
It's the highest praise to have Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So here we go. The first couple questions are always standard questions, so they're very simple. Pen or pencil? Ballpoint or gel pen?
Gel.
Colorful or just standard blank?
Colorful.
What would be the favorite color? of a gel pen?
Orange.
Orange?
It's a good color.
With sparkles or no sparkles?
Oh, tons of sparkles. Are you kidding me?
Extra sparkles.
Extra sparkles.
Extra.
Neon or non-neon?
Neon.
Ooh.
I wanted to glow in the dark.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
That's how you do. Favorite medium?
Oh, that would be acrylic. Love
Acrylic?
acrylic.
Yeah.
So fun to work with.
Have you ever used like oils or watercolors?
I do oil sometimes. I don't like how long it takes to dry. I don't like how toxic it is.
As,
or at
as
least
how
colorful.
Yeah, how
as
thick
how
it is.
thick you paint, it'll probably take a year
Oh, yeah.
to fully dry. I think we have an artist friend that she also does
Some oils.
she does, thick paintings, and she does them with oils, and yeah, it takes like sometimes she takes them to gallery shows because it's her new stuff. They've been drying for like a few months, so it's
it's
dry
still
to the
wet.
touch. But she tells people like, yeah, it's still not fully dry.
Yeah.
But it's just that I had a show.
Yes. Favorite shape? Circles?
Mm-hmm.
I can figure them out.
Why
you
are
got
you
a little
trembling?
choked up.
That's how much you like circles.
Circles. Do you finish a sketchbook or do you just buy another one?
I've never had a sketchbook in my painting career. I did as a child, but I do not use sketchbooks anymore.
So as a
Trying to think.
child,
So as a child, do you finish your sketchbook or do you
or
just
would you
get
have
another
your
one?
parents buy you another one?
I'll draw on whatever's available. That was
Oh,
my
nice.
problem. Like,
Nice.
oh, look, a spare sheet of paper that was a bill? Mine. I'm going to draw a lizard on it.
Nice.
I can dig that. And speaking of bills, what's your favorite drink of choice while you're painting or while you're creating?
Red Bull.
Red Bull?
Gosh, got to keep
What
me going.
flavor?
It's the pear one. That one's
pear one?
so
Oh, I haven't
good.
tried that one.
Try it.
Ooh.
Delicious.
Red Bull,
Pear.
please sponsor us. Thank you.
I recently, or not recently, but a few months ago, tried the what was it? Was it grapefruit?
Ooh.
Or no, dragon fruit. It was a green one.
That was the Christmas one. I remember that one.
was
They
the green
released it for.
one.
It was so good.
Yeah, I liked it. We're waiting for an Uber in downtown LA, and there's these two ladies that they had the
Red Bull
Red Bull
backpack.
backpack,
Oh, the Red Bull girls.
giving
Yeah.
away Red Bull.
That's my dream.
So I was like,
to come in contact with one of them
it's
and be
like,
like,
yeah.
yes.
I'll take one.
Well, you know you can flag down a Red Bull car, right?
I've seen them on the
Yeah.
road, and I'm like, I'm gonna.
It's like,
snap
hey.
you.
Just drive in front of them, slow down until they
Hey,
stop.
hey,
It's like,
hey,
hey.
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Another question that's, again, very, 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 very simple.
Uh-oh. I don't do simple.
Crayola or rose art?
That's an offensive question. That's an offensive question. Look, as a kid, I always loved looking at rose art. I was like, wow, this stuff is so colorful. No, it's Crayola. Crayola actually shows up on your coloring books. Rose art is so offensive. Like, if your grandparent got you that, you should be upset about that, and you can claim trauma for that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite questions. Like, because if people know, they know.
Yeah.
If people know, they know.
It's an experience all
What if
little artists get.
What if like for Halloween, instead of giving out candy, you just give out like rose art?
Yes, as a prank.
Yeah,
As
just rose art color.
Is that worse than the dentist giving out apples and stuff and toothbrushes instead of
I
candy?
think so.
I mean,
I
if
think
it's-
so.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Sugar or no sugar?
You know, it depends on the day. Because honestly,
Depends
some
on
days
the Red Bull.
that feels just straight sugar. That is just straight sugar. But a coffee, you know, those mornings where you're like, I just need something in my body to function.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That brown bean coffee tastes.
I can dig.
Mm-hmm.
Another question that's also pretty cool. paint standing up or sitting down?
Ooh. One thing I hated the most when I took my art class was painting. I will absolutely sit all day, every day, or even just sitting on the floor. Like, I like to sit in weird positions as a fellow neurodivergent. I just sit in weird, kooky positions when I paint, and I can't just stand there all nice like they wanted to meet me to in class. I'd be like sitting on the stool and he'd be like, get up, get up, get up. And I'm like, no, my back hurts. Sit all day, every day. Whatever's comfortable for you.
Nice.
I can dig that. Would you rather sell your art in person or online?
In person, all day, every time. My
Mhm.
favorite things to do are my live shows or exhibits because then I get to talk to people.
Yes.
And that for me outweighs any money that is given to me in my art career because the connections I make with other people, the conversations I have, the talks about mental health, that takes the cake. That's what I'm here to do, is to
Yes.
communicate with other humans.
And I feel like you can sell art easier when you have a connection with client.
Truly.
Like they get to know a little bit more of the background. Like, yes, they can read your bio online, but depending on their mood, how they read it, it can be very flat.
It's a
how they
different
read it. It's
perspective.
a different perspective, yeah.
No, I too prefer in person. It's way more fun.
Fun.
Way
Yeah.
more
Like,
fun.
let's go hang out and talk art.
Yeah. You get to meet new artists. So fun.
What was the transition for you, for your art, to go from a hobby to a job or to a professional?
I hated 9-to-5 jobs. There was not a job out there that I wanted to do full time, period. I was definitely the kind of person, like, I picked up a lot of odd jobs at certain points, working in fast food, maintenance, nannying, teaching.
That's a
Right?
technical word.
That's
Right?
yeah.
And I didn't like the lack of freedom. I didn't like having to communicate with terrible bosses or having to deal with someone else's problems. I wanted to be in charge of my own life. I wanted to take my own accountability. And I think that's the key to being an entrepreneur and an artist and whatnot. I wanted to be in charge of myself because as somebody who struggles with mental health, accountability is key. And it's so hard to keep yourself accountable when you're constantly working for somebody else and your environment and your mindset is controlled by someone else. But now I have the control. And I would consistently get sick in all my other jobs.
Mhm.
I haven't gotten sick as an artist.
Ooh, all right. So that was it. You were like taking the plunge.
Yeah,
Be a professional.
do it.
Just do it. I
Yeah.
like that. And then one final question: the color that you use the most in your art.
Ooh, is either gonna be magenta or ultramarine blue.
Ooh.
Those two are like my most used colors that I fly through. I love pinks, purples, and blues. I use them heavily, but I also have like a couple other color palettes that I stick to. Not all my paintings follow the same color palette, and they're very dependent on my moods because I feel like color can really influence your mood, and certain colors mean different things to people or can influence it in different ways. So definitely just based off of that, it'll probably be the blue and the magenta. Those are number one.
Ooh, nice.
I like how they reflect on your glasses. Your glasses are
Yeah.
blue and magenta
Oh my
as well.
gosh.
Yeah.
I love that.
It would have been awkward if you would have said orange.
Yeah, right. No,
I like orange.
like the
Yeah.
orange. No.
But no, thank you for participating in the Quick and A. I feel like you got, I would say, a B++.
Oh, nice. Not
nice,
gonna
yeah.
fail this quarter.
Yes. Yes. And again, for the audience members, feel free to let us know what you think. If you have any questions that you want to ask the audience members, wait a minute.
Yes. Ask yourself.
If you want to ask yourself some more questions.
Why are you asking us?
Yeah.
No. Ask yourselves questions, and then
And then
a fellow commenter peer will answer your question.
and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But if you the thing in reverse of what I was trying to say, Willy Wonka style. If you want to ask any questions to our guests, put it in the comment below
We'll add it to our
list,
to our Quick and A.
to our Quick and A. Yes, because we do have a lot of
if we like
questions
it. If we like
that we get to pick and choose from. But yeah, thank you so much for participating on that.
Awesome.
Hopefully, it
Well,
wasn't
my
too
stress
stressful.
level went down.
What would you grade yourself?
Yeah.
That you're the first person we asked. So
I wouldn't grade myself because I don't think every test deserves a grade.
all right. Well, what letter would you give yourself?
I'd give myself a pass.
No, what letter?
A P?
A P?
A P? A P for
Yeah.
pass?
P for pass.
P for pass. As long as it's not a Z all the way at the very
A
end.
Z.
But yeah, one of the key things that we want to focus with the LAArtist podcast, the LAArtist podcast, is the journey of the artist. Because it is one thing, the technical, the fundamentals, the inspiration, but more the journey, the person. And so from your career to now, where do you think you are in that journey? How far have you gone along, or how far do you still have to go?
You know, I'm still so young. I always have to remind myself that as somebody who's
You're 12, right?
yeah,
Something like that?
I'm 12 years old. I'm graduating 6th grade this year, you know. It's a good time. No, but you know, I think almost being 30, you know, reaching my 30s, you think you're supposed to have a lot figured out. You know, this is the struggle of people in their late 20s, is having things figured out. And so in my own artist journey, I have to remember, hey, you just started selling art like 2 years ago. Don't expect to have the most amazing full-time salary off your art right now. Don't expect that. And don't try to put that pressure on yourself so fast and so hard, because it will absolutely screw with your head. It has screwed with mine, because there's a lot of times where I'm too hard on myself and I'm like, well, my art's great and it's selling, but why am I not here? Why am I not there yet? Blah, blah, blah. And you have to like kind of chill back and realize it's okay. I'm here. I'm where I need to be. If I keep making the progress like I do every single day, then I will get to where I need to be. But I'm not gonna manifest it out of nowhere. It's gonna take some hard work. And so I definitely would consider myself still starting out new, you know? I'm still a new artist, you know, I'm definitely not established, but I see success coming.
I like that. Yeah, because you know, we've talked about like balance and being able to see yourself where you want to be, but at the same time, take your time. So I like that. Don't expect to be successful overnight.
Yeah.
From the
get-go.
Yeah, from the get go. Yeah, it's art is definitely not a sprint race for sure.
And there's a lot of ups and downs, more so I think than in a normal entrepreneur business journey. You're definitely gonna notice those times where it's like, especially when you're starting out, like, oh, I made a bunch of money in this month, but then I didn't make money for 3 or 4 months, or this and that. So there's that ebb and flow, and that can scare a lot of people from wanting to become a full-time artist, because you don't know how do I generate more revenue? How do I prepare for these months when I'm not making as much? Where do I save my money at? And that's a lot. And I have no financial skills whatsoever. I'll be honest. You know, I grew up extremely poor. So it was paycheck to paycheck. That's all I know. And growing out of that mindset, while it's still prevalent because that's just reality, I have to adopt some newer mindsets to help me with finance. And that's difficult, especially when you're still living in that paycheck to paycheck reality.
Yeah.
And it's like a constant war.
Yeah, because the business side of art, I feel like isn't talked about to younger artists as much. The paycheck to paycheck, doing art show to art show, essentially. Like that's how you make bigger bank, is by selling it in person.
Yeah.
And because again, selling it online, if you're gonna do either prints or whatnot, you can only sell it for so much, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the same time, don't get caught into the like, oh, okay, cool, it sells for this much, but I'm afraid to raise the prices because then the clients will leave. But it's well, no, like if you are growing,
you need to raise those prices.
Your business has to grow. And like, yes, people will be like, oh, it's too much now. Like, well, they're not good clients.
Yeah.
You know,
You're going to gain newer clients as
Yeah.
you go along. And you should absolutely get the price that you are worth and that you deserve. And I definitely have had struggles, like especially with my mini paintings. Like you see one sitting there. And I used to price these at like $40, you know, and then I got with a business mentor and she was like, Ashley, like get a grip. You need to charge certain price per square inch. You need to charge what you are worth, especially if you're selling these as much as they are. It's not always a good thing when your things are flying off the shelf, especially if you're an artist. That means you need to raise your worth.
Yeah.
Because you need to set that time aside to work on your art. And if you're not getting the money you need off that time that's set aside, then you're going to start feeling worthless.
Yeah, for sure. And we've talked to a couple artists that have had that question, and hopefully we'll bring it out on one of the podcasts. But it was that, like, when do you realize when to, bump up the prices? Like when do you make that leap? And you had a good point. Like as you're growing as an artist, like bump it up. You know, it's okay to bump up the prices. And like, you know, in business, most businesses will bump up their prices 10% every year.
Yeah, follow the markets too.
Yeah.
Artists should be following the markets. You're a business too. You're selling something, and that's the scary side, I think, for a lot of artists, is learning business, learning marketing, learning finances. And I still find it absolutely, utterly terrifying. But yeah, I mean, we have inflation going on right now. Prices are going up. So yeah, as an artist, raise your prices. You're living off of this. That's your work, man.
Yeah.
You need to put food on your table too, and you deserve those prices. And there are people out there that are going to pay them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. And again, it's a matter of time, which we have, and you know, being patient and definitely knowing your worth for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of knowing your worth, we had talked a little bit about mental health and how you've had to struggle with mental health, but that also made your art be unique, made your art be your own. And what were things that helped you overcome certain mental health episodes that you might have to continue to create?
The most important thing was reaching out for help for me. When I was in college, I was hospitalized on a 5150 when I was 18 years old. I had just quit my job. I was working 3 jobs to keep myself afloat. I didn't have any parents supporting me, and I was taking 18 units of college credit music classes.
Ooh.
And they're nasty. You have to always be there. And so I quit my job, and a week later, I was hospitalized for suicidal ideation. Couldn't do it anymore. And I couldn't keep those pressures on me anymore. And moving forward, looking at music, it just wasn't working out for me. It wasn't giving me a spark of joy. I didn't enjoy the pressures that are placed on you in classical music and whatnot. And so, you know, by my senior year, my mental health was still just absolutely awful. I got my PTSD diagnosis my senior year in college. And I couldn't even come onto campus without having panic attacks. It was bad. And I needed a class for fun. So I took a painting class. And the biggest thing for me, since what I was struggling with so much in college, I mean, besides anxiety and depression, was the pressure in the arts to conform to a certain way. I have to do something this way. No, you can't have a career over here in this thing. We don't facilitate this or that. Oh, you'll never get this or that. You have to do this way. And when I got to my painting class and the professor, you know, obviously started off with those kind of things where you have to do this, you have to do that, I was like, I'm done. I've cracked. Art is for me. This is for me. And that's when I knew purely right then and there that was going to be the thing. But if it hadn't have been for me being hospitalized and then taken to a therapist, I wouldn't have known what was going on. I wouldn't have known where to get that help. And I think the most important thing is if you have access in your health insurance to a therapist, if you have access for it, go. Even if you don't think you need it, I think everyone can absolutely benefit from therapy in any way, but nothing is going to get better until you make those steps to find a professional that can help you. Hobbies are great. They're very, very helpful. Getting outside, going on a walk is very, very helpful, but sometimes you need that professional support to figure out what is going on and what is causing the severity of your mental health or mental illness issues. Because I couldn't take care of myself. I was waking up in the morning, literally throwing up every single day. I couldn't handle being alive. And there was no amount of just painting that was going to fix that. It literally had to come from professionals who knew what they were doing and knew how to guide me. It's like 10 years of this, you know? And I'm at a point now where, yeah, I have the tools I need to succeed. Maybe one of those tools is painting. Maybe one of those tools is painting, but it's a whole lot of other things, including like a support system, knowing how to communicate to people when I'm starting to feel low and letting them know I'm going to need this, this, and this. And that's hard. That takes years to get to a point. And a lot of people also, I know how hard it is to get to this step where you know you need that help.
Yeah.
That's hard. And that it's a very vulnerable position to be in. But everyone deserves that help and that professional help.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, because it is one of those things with like in art, you need a community when you're in art. You also need a community when you're just a human being. Having that professional help, that guidance, And I think you nailed it on the head, where it's like you need someone professional, not just a friend,
Not just a friend.
not just a shoulder to cry
Yeah.
on.
Not just a TikTok you've seen that says, oh, if you do this, you have X, Y, and Z. No. You need to talk to somebody who can help sort out your brain, because that's the hard thing, is trying to manage everything that's going on in there. And you see so many things coming from so many places telling you this or that. And I know from just my personal experience, I used to come to therapists with, well, I'm seeking a diagnosis. I am seeking, well, I think I have X, Y, and Z, or I think I have this, instead of going, I can't take care of myself. I can't go to school without having a panic attack. Instead of saying, what I'm not able to function as, I was searching for like, oh, Hail Mary flag that says, oh, okay, this is what's wrong with me. I'm fine now,
Yeah, the cure-all pill.
Yeah, the cure-all pill. Well, I have X, Y, and Z, so you can't do anything now. And it was like, no, I needed to get over some of my own shit and realize I need to take accountability and responsibility, because that's just going to hurt people.
Yeah. And with that, like, how did that influence your art? Like, did it make your art be more meaningful to you?
Definitely. It really allowed me a safe space, because association was one of the biggest things I struggle with. And I check out so often and so frequently, and I'd always go to these worlds inside my head. And I wanted to be able to show people what those worlds look like, because I know for some people, dissociation is absolutely terrifying. It can be one of the worst things you can experience. And for me, it was a tool. It was a coping tool that is no longer useful, but it's something that has stuck with me and has created a safe space when things weren't safe for me. And to be able to show people that, hey, yeah, I've been through a whole lot of garbage. I'm open about talking about it, but I can still make pretty things. You can still thrive when you have a mental illness. Yeah. You can still do it, and everything isn't just negative Nellies all the time. I can assure you. And if you're dealing with complex PTSD, that's one of the nastiest things out there. That is so nasty to deal with, because you're constantly questioning yourself.
Yeah, and I feel like being able to move forward, finding that safe space, and because in art you do that a lot. Like you always doubt yourself. Like, am I good? Is this painting? Is it finished more than anything else? But like, okay, is it worth selling? Am I worth the art and whatnot? So I like that, having that thrive to look past and find help and move forward. Don't get stuck.
Literally keep trying. That's what I tell everybody. Especially if you want to try something new and you're afraid to literally try. What the worst thing that can happen is you don't do it. You don't do it. Then you never did it. Try something new. Try talking to people. Just keep trying. Even if you fail the first time, just get up and do it again. That's been like a mantra for my life. I get knocked down. Okay, got to pick myself back up again. Because what? Want to lay down and die? No, I'd actually rather not. And, as peaceful as an option that does sound sometimes, especially if you deal with mental illness, the better option is being here, experiencing and meeting new people, literally going to the beach, like the silliest things. But, rather do that.
I like that. I can dig that. And I do like your mantra that you just mentioned. And so with that in mind, like, what tips would you give someone like that it's either struggling with that or struggling with just starting the artist journey? Like, what would you give? What would be your 2 cents?
Gosh, my 2 cents.
Yeah, I know it's not like you're not gonna like professionally be like, okay,
No.
this and this, because we just talked about that. But like, what would you? Because I know you mentioned reaching out.
Yeah,
is a big thing. But what else? What would you tell someone?
I think the first thing for a lot of people, because I know this is where a lot of people are at, is to just even get out there, show yourself. I struggled with that for like years. I didn't want to show myself on social media or TikTok. I still struggle with that. I'll make like 5 videos and I'm like, ugh, cringe. But getting out there and just showing your work is so important. Show people, talk to people, literally tell your friends, hey, I make art now. Show your grandparents, your cousins, your sisters, brothers, your whole community. Show the person at the freaking grocery store that you do art. By doing that, you will get better at talking to people about your art. You will get opportunities that come from that because you're networking in the process. But I mean, also if you're somebody who is anxious or depressed and it's a little bit difficult to get out of the house, you can go online to a lot of art collectives, a lot of art communities, and you can email them. You can submit information to them. So if you're a little nervous about talking to people in person or confronting people, this is kind of like an easy backdoor way into getting your art out there. And it's something I did when I first started out, was like, slowly kind of just emailing some like local galleries or something. And then eventually something snapped in me while I was doing like exhibits. And I was like, I love talking to people. This is so much fun. And people are giving me so much good feedback and praise and just positivity. So be gentle with yourself, know where you're at mentally, and keep trying. Those are my biggest ones.
I like that. Yeah. I feel like that's been somewhat the theme that most artists have towards other artists, like the get out there, just do it. Like, don't let anything slow you down.
Yeah.
I like that. And with that in mind, are there any artists that you would want to give a shout out that have inspired you that you want to share with others? I know we mentioned Bob Ross and whatnot, but obviously he's already famous. But are there any other artists, whether it be local or smaller, that have inspired you?
Oh gosh, it would probably be my girl Miranda. She's in the same town as me. She lives in Redlands. And her art style is just complete 180 from what I do. And I love her to death because the art she produces is just, it's gorgeous. It reminds me of home. It reminds me of all the light and the colors. And it just feels so natural as compared to my crazy stuff that I do. And I love that kind of balance. So having somebody that is a complete opposite of what my perspective or experience is, I love that. And I think that's like the foundation of human connection, is having those two opposites being held in the same regard, not just going positive or negative, just holding those two things together. So I love her art, and I'm so excited to see where she goes in her journey. Especially as she's shifting more into her art. I just love seeing it, and I want to see more women artists out there. I love it.
Nice. I can dig that. Yeah, like when she was here a couple episodes ago, yeah, her style, and she's also at the beginning stages of her journey as well, as far as an artist goes, and she's gonna go big. I feel like she's gonna go big. The same with your style. I feel like your style can go big. And speaking of big, what's the biggest painting? Because like right now in studio, you have, it's approximately 3 foot by 4.
Yeah, this is a 40 by 30 inches.
40 by 30 inches.
48 by 30 inches. This is the largest painting I've done so far. The biggest one I've ever done. I try to stick with the bigger sizes. I like something about big pieces, especially with all the texture. You get to really dig into it with your eyeballs. But I do everything from really tiny stuff. The little 5x5.
Yeah, 5x5. We have one here. You've also done a couple 4x4s as well.
Yeah, some 4x4s. So I try to keep those for all my cool art people that don't have space for these, because we're all living in tiny little places, right? Nobody has space for this thing.
Well, I keep telling the customers, like, you could stick it on your roof, on your ceiling, just that way you look up and you see a painting. You're not using it. You can't put a shelf on your ceiling. So let's go. Do you ever want to do like bigger murals, or do you want to just stick to like canvases?
I would love to do murals, because I recently did a public art mural on a bus bench with Omnitrans out in the IE, and that was just such a fun project, being able to paint a bus bench for the community. The whole community was like hooting and hollering as they passed by. People came and hung out and watched me paint and just thanked me. Somebody told me, it's so depressing around here. I don't want to walk my dog around here because it's so bland and ugly out here in San Bernardino. And then he said, but seeing this makes me want to go outside, so to be able to give back to the public, to my communities, I would love to be able to do more murals and public art. Spread it everywhere.
Yeah. And again, finding your community.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to start is literally in your community,
in
literally
your neighborhood,
in
your community, and then branch out.
Yeah, talk to your local businesses, and especially small local businesses, where it's like, hey, you have a blank wall. Do you mind if I paint it?
I had
You know?
2 businesses ask me while I was painting out on the road, "Hey, can you paint my sign? Can you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah,
It's like,
this is
yeah,
awesome."
it's like,
Live and in the flesh.
what's your budget first? And
Yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah.
but
What's your
yeah.
budget? But yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, we could definitely find a middle ground for
Yeah.
sure. But I feel like those connections, again, community,
Mhm.
support,
Yeah.
finding balance, and
Leave your house.
leave your
I
house.
know that's the hard one, but you got to go outside. I know. I had agoraphobia for like 2 years while I was in college. So like even just like stepping out foot outside my front door and going to the grocery store, panic inducing.
Ooh.
That was incredibly hard, but let me tell you, everything is outside. You kind of need it. Oh,
Is
darn.
it though?
Well, I know with all these like Instacart and like, delivery apps.
I
so.
know, right? It's
I
like,
only want to go outside for art shows.
yeah.
For nothing else. For nothing else.
I know. I feel like
Just-
I feel the same way because again, where we are, we have a gallery that we built out of our garage, so we can do our own art shows here. Like one of the rooms, I built it up to be my office,
Mhm.
where I can literally do everything from video editing, photography, voiceover work, and anything that a client might need. And like, okay, cool, yeah, just hit me up or come over
Mhm.
here. We'll have a meeting. We'll do it here. So everything is kind of in-house, including what we're starting to do printing in-house as well. So if you ever need to do any prints, let us know. But yeah, no, I do understand that you have to go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. You can go outside and do that though. I never tell people, if you're feeling a certain way about something and you still want to do it anyways, please whine. I don't care. I will drag you whining down the street on a walk. You can be like me the whole time. I'm still gonna drag you out and we're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's gonna click out of you.
There
you
you
know.
go.
But let it out. Let it
Yeah.
out.
I like that. I like that a lot. And then so some final notes. Where can we see your art? Where can people see your art?
Where can you see my art? Well, you
At
can
a bench.
at a bench
at a
in San Bernardino off of Baseline. Fabulous location. But moreover, you can find it on my website, www.ashleywrightart.com. I have my entire portfolio on my website, and you can shop from my website as well. You can check me out on my Instagram at Art by Ashley Wright. I post a lot of content on there, updating about what I'm painting and whatnot. And then you can also see, starting next month, my art will be at the Laguna Art Gallery down in Mission Viejo.
Ooh.
So super stoked about that.
1 month will that be? Just in case people see it in the future.
February.
February.
And I'm like a member for life now, so I will be constantly online in their gallery.
Oh,
So
nice.
super
Nice.
cool.
All right.
Even better.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to
February-
give specific dates and be like, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
No.
this
Yeah.
episode was after.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, cool. Part of the
That is so
Laguna
cool.
art scene. Yeah, they have a lot of cool galleries in Laguna.
Yeah, definitely. I've always loved the galleries down there. And way, way back, like 6 years ago, I was walking by an art fair in Laguna and I was like, it'd be so cool to, have art around here or something like that. And I was like, who would have thought years
Yeah.
later I'd be trying to get my art down in Laguna, So it's kind of cool how those little
Yeah.
tidbits of like, you were meant to do this kind of pop up
Yeah.
in your life and you realize, oh, wait, yeah, I am where I am supposed to be.
Yeah, and more than anything, you just mentioned it. You were trying to, and now you are,
Yeah.
because you were trying to. That's the main key.
Yeah.
Do it. Just
Do it.
Just do it.
Throw
Just go
yourself
for it.
there.
If you don't go
Just
out and
try.
try.
Yeah. If you don't go outside, you'll never have a suntan.
Ooh,
Wait, what?
bummer.
I don't want a
I was like,
suntan. I don't want a suntan.
I was trying to be all philosophical, like, yeah, sure, why not?
You do need
Just
vitamin
try.
D, though.
Yes.
It helps with your anxiety and depression for anyone who didn't
that's
know.
Aren't there like vitamin D pills that I can
Yes,
take?
you can take vitamin D
Yes.
supplements. My doctor told me I needed to take them.
With
They're not
with
just
energy
donuts?
drinks? You
Not my energy drinks. That's just gasoline for the car. It's premium gasoline, baby.
Yes.
Premium.
But yeah, so we'll link all the links in the description so you can check out her art, check out the people that she has recommended, the artists that have inspired her, and thank you for being a part of the show. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully it wasn't too bad.
No, thank you for bringing me on. I love just being able to shoot the shit.
Yes. Yes, and again, to all our listeners, thank you for listening, for subscribing, for following, for ringing the notification bell on whatever platform that you're on. and
for commenting.
For commenting as well, interacting with us. We do read all the comments. And if you want to find out more information about the show, go to loranogallery.com/podcast. We'll have some behind the scenes photos and all that fun stuff, as well as some clips, some tidbits, and some after show stuff, shenanigans and whatnot. And yeah, that's a lot of words just for the intro, for the outro. Shenanigans. But again, thank you so much for joining us. You've been listening to the LAArtist Podcast.
Bye.
You have been listening to the LAArtist Podcast. Feel free to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the latest episode. You can see bonus content on our Instagram at Lorano Gallery, as well as our website, loranogallery.com/podcast. Stay creative, keep creating, and no matter what, be passionate about your art.